Hi, and welcome to another Kickstarter weekly roundup from Rule of Carnage, where I'm going to bring you the best of what Kickstarter has to offer for tabletop gaming this week. Now, we've got a bunch of STL file campaigns as usual, a handful of models campaigns, and one accessories campaign this week. I'm going to start off with that accessories campaign, which is Wotan Temple Set by Admiral Apocalypse. So it's quite a small campaign. It's for a set of STL printable bases designed to have a sort of Nordic temple feel to them. Simple little campaign, just little something to zhuzh up the bases of your miniatures. If you've got an army that theme might work for, it's a simple one to stop by, have a look at. And as I often say with the STL files, especially for bases and things like that, it's a great thing to just file away somewhere and you'll be able to pull it out when you need it. You know, you might not have that theme going on in any of your games at the moment, but when you do, you'll really appreciate having those files to one side. So first of all of this week's physical model reward campaigns is Fantasy Battlegrounds, RPG Scenery and Wargaming Terrain by E. Raptor. So this is a campaign, very much as the title implies there, for sets of scenery to fill out your tabletop. So there's some really nice buildings, some larger castles, and there's a pledge level where these come with terrain mats. So this is a nice simple way to fill out a tabletop. We've got the terrain mats, you've got physical models of buildings. You can literally pledge in and have a tabletop filled and ready to play on. And you're ready to go for mid-level games with terrain, mats, everything you need to get the table set up and looking good. Our other physical model reward campaign this week is a little bit of a fun one. We've got the Gnome Guard 28mm miniatures by Tom Mason. So what this is some old school white metal models of gnomes, armed as far as the term is appropriate, with garden implements and various bits and pieces. So obviously this is a bit tongue-in-cheek, it's a bit of fun, but you could happily proxy these for a range of other models. They could fill in for goblins, they could happily work as halflings, and they're just silly and cute and fun, and they're going to bring a bit of a smile to the tabletop. As I say, it's a physical miniatures reward. They're really cute. If you know you're going to play with a bit of sense of humor, you like something really unusual and fun to put on a tabletop with your friends, then give this campaign a look. So first up in our STL files roundup for the week, we've got some terrain campaigns, and first of those is Sunshine 9 Minimart 3D printable game terrain STL files by Pharaoh's Workshop. So this is a terrain campaign, and it's for a Minimart, obviously modern setting terrain. It's got some bits and pieces to fill out the insides of the buildings, an arcade machine, bits and bobs like that. So if you're playing modern post-apocalyptic, you know, modern zombie campaigns, anything set in the modern day that could use a bit of, you know, up-to-date terrain. You know, a lot of terrain that you see around is World War or medieval, so it's nice to have something, you know, fully realized for a modern setting. And it's, you know, it's really nice looking terrain. It's got sort of detailed interiors. Yeah, for an STL file that you're looking to print out and put something up to date on the table. And again, you know, I know I say this a lot of STL files, but you might not be playing a modern set campaign at the moment. You know, you might in the future, and you know, this is a sort of terrain that isn't super easy to find. You know, not at this level. There's nothing wrong with picking up the STL files, slotting them away, and when you do come to play that Walking Dead All Out War, or you know, or equivalent Last Days, something like that campaign, you've got these little bits and pieces to fill out the tabletop and give your skirmish games a real bit of solidity to them. So take a look at that one. So next up, another terrain campaign. We've got ARC Container District 3D printable STLs by Peter Taylor, Arctanis Games. So what this is it's a set of shipping containers. Now, frankly, I wouldn't necessarily suggest picking up STL files for shipping containers, just because you can get them very easily and cheaply in wooden versions. But what this campaign's got going on for it is that it's got a set of files for putting the shipping containers together into a sort of buildings, like a little sort of mini shanty town. So again, if you're playing a post-apocalyptic setting, or just purely some sort of shanty town setting of some kind, this could very quickly build up a small town for you to skirmish around, and you don't necessarily need to fill the whole tabletop with the converted shipping containers going to be used as housing. You could fill out a lot of it with frankly cheaper shipping containers models that you can get from other sources, and then just a few of these sort of home shipping containers could give a real sort of feel and a theme to a tabletop. You could have a solid post-apocalyptic sort of dystopian cyberpunk setting very, very quickly without too much effort. With just a few of these STL printed files dotted around, I think you could get a real solid sort of storyline to your tabletop. So yeah, consider taking a little look at this one, and considering the options for a post-apocalyptic tabletop setting you could use them for. So another really nice looking STL terrain file campaign we've got here, it's Viking Architecture Restart by 3D Fortress. So again, much as the campaign title suggests, this is some Viking architecture, some ancient era feasting halls, that nature of things, and they look really nice. If there's any possibility, if you're playing Saga, something of that nature, and you're looking to have a little base for your Vikings to come back to, or to fight over, or just live around, these feasting halls, drinking halls, they look really nice. There's great level of detail to them. They're very evocative of the people and the era. If you can find any excuse to get these onto your tabletop, I think you'll be very happy with them. So last up of this week's terrain STL file campaigns is Post-Apocalyptic Refueling Station Supportless STL Files by Hogesth McDaniel. So this is a set of terrain for a sort of refueling station. It's got some crash barriers in it. It's STL files for any sort of post-apocalyptic gaming. Yes, it'd work particularly well if you're playing some sort of post-apocalyptic game that has a lot of cars, and might sort of benefit from some crash barriers laying out, I know, a racetrack, something of that nature. So if there's any sort of game that occurs to you where you're racing around a post-apocalyptic wasteland with some cars, then this file might be handy for your tabletop gaming. I can't specifically think of any game that has those sorts of elements to it, but I'm sure one's out there that does exist. So yeah, take a look at that one if that's the sort of game that appeals to you. So first up for some STL models file campaigns, we've got Traveller RPG Starship Miniatures by Second Dynasty. So these are a set of miniatures of spaceships licensed from the Traveller RPG world. They're really lovely looking spaceship miniatures. I would say that they've got an ever so slight retro-y feel, not sort of super retro, but there's something. Traveller's got some years on the clock now, so there's a few of the the spaceships that have a very sort of classic sci-fi look to them, but they're really great looking spaceships anyway. Obviously, if you're playing a game like A Billion Suns or any sort of Deep Space Fleet game, yes, these are files for a Deep Space RPG, but obviously the thing about spaceships is that you can quite happily print out a whole bunch of them and make yourself a fleet, and the fact that they have a certain uniformity to them, you know, isn't going to be an issue. So you don't necessarily need a set of bespoke files for every single miniature. So, you know, certainly if you're a fan of the Traveller RPG, if you would like to play a fleet battle game or something similar with spaceships licensed from that universe, this is going to be a great campaign for you. And generally, you know, if you're looking to print out some spaceship miniatures, there's some really nice ones here. And, you know, it's going to be a simple one to pick up, file away, and pull out when you want to get a space fleet onto the table. So next up for an STL miniatures campaign, we've got expansion of Hogesth by Modular Worlds. So what this is it's a set of miniatures that have a very strong, I would say, lizardmen feel. So, you know, if you're looking for something to proxy Warhammer Fantasy Battle lizardmen, they've got models that work very nicely for Croxagore in there. They've got models that work very nice for Temple Guard, and they've got some models that work very well for Skink Cold One Riders. Generally, they're really nice looking miniatures. They would work nicely in any campaign or skirmish game where you're considering using lizardmen adjacent, you know, creatures. They'd work really brilliantly for a sort of jungle world, Lost Valley of the Dinosaurs sort of pulp adventure situation. They're just really nice, you know, lizard people files that would sort of grace any tabletop that's set within a jungle where weird lizard people are fighting their end of the situation. And rounding up this week, we've got the Wraith Kings football team STL files by Z Axis. So again, you know, you could probably guess from the title of the campaign, this is an undead team for Blood Bowl or similar games. It's got a great selection of models for your linemen, all the way through to specialist named star players. It also comes with a handy set of rings for noting statuses such as stunned, ball carrier, things of that nature. Really, you know, if you're looking to play an undead team in Blood Bowl or any similar game, and you're looking for some STL files to get those miniatures on the table, this absolutely has everything you're going to want for that. It's not just got the, as I say, the models, it's got the accessories, it's got the bits and pieces, it's got cheerleaders, coaches, mascot. It's got, you know, not just the stuff that you can have on the tabletop, but the bits and pieces that you want to just fill out your table, you know, put next to the pitch just to make things look cool. It's a really nice set of minis, and like I say, if you're looking at getting the undead onto a football match on a table near you, there's absolutely no reason not to pick up these STL files. So that's it for this week. Just a handful of campaigns there, but hopefully there's something that's going to catch your eye that you can pick up and get on a tabletop near you for some fun tabletop miniatures gaming. But for now, I'm going to sign off on this roundup, and thanks for watching. Thanks. Bye.